I want to introduce now the next Congresswoman for the 23rd Congressional District, Martha Robertson.
Great. That was awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Well, I don't know, I think we're done here. That was awesome, Norm. And Frank, thank you so very much. Where'd Frank go? Frank. Norm, Frank, and Mayor Keefe were here, right over there, more than a year ago when I first announced the candidacy for this district, April 11th. And everybody said, why are you doing this so early? It's a good thing we did. Well, I will tell you, Norm was right. The first place we came was right here. And, if you see the maps, we've got maps here of our big district, the size of New Jersey. So I wake up in Dryden, as far east as you can get. We drive out here by 10 o'clock in the morning, well, like we did today, because it was important to be here. It was critical to be here in Chautauqua County. As Norm said, this is a winnable race. I feel it, I believe it, and I wouldn't be here asking for your help if I didn't know that we could do this together. Today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, tell you a little bit about why it's winnable, why we know it's winnable, and then why it's essential that we win this race. I do want to thank a couple other thank yous. Dave Wilkinson, IBEW, has been with us. Thanks to Dave and so many members from the beginning. Really appreciate all your partnership here. Bob Dando, 2 weeks ago, the whole month of March, on those working families petitions, thank you so much. We qualified with more than enough working family signatures. We qualified with 4 times the number of Democratic signatures, so thank you to everybody here who helped carry those petitions as well. That's hard work, especially in the lousy weather that we had the month of March. So, a little bit about myself. Norm took me downstairs to meet a couple tables full of people, and one of them said, "You have to talk about small business." I said, "That's easy. I literally grew up in a small business. My parents had a retail nursery, and here was the house and here was the shop. And the shop was open anytime a customer came in. That includes, Sunday at 11 o'clock at night. I remember one Christmas Eve, literally midnight Christmas Eve. Dad had one more Christmas tree left, and a sailor came home. He just got home on leave, and he wanted to bring a tree home with him. And, well, Dad didn't charge him anything. He was glad just to have that service available, have the tree to give to that service member. So this is part of my DNA, literally. My folks, I'm really in this race because of my mom. Not only did she help in the business, shoulder to shoulder with Dad, but she raised 5 kids, did everything inside the home. Those are the days when you really had division of labor, and still found time to show us what public service was like. She got involved in political campaigns. I remember John Kennedy's race, and that was, I was 9. So she dragged us to meetings, licking envelopes, that sort of thing. And I grew up in Baltimore, which in those days was segregated. I remember the white fountains and the colored fountains. That was the word, the colored water fountains. Mom took us to the local swimming pool where we didn't go swimming, we went to picket. We picketed as kids, just picketed with our signs until they opened that swimming pool. And this is part of how I grew up. So basically, I've spent my life in public service. I found my way to upstate New York on a scholarship. No student loans. I will tell you, not many kids these days leave college without thousands of dollars in debt. And that's one reason I'm running, and we need to win this race. So I found my way here to a scholarship and fell in love with upstate New York and basically never left. My first job was teaching kindergarten, and I honor and respect every teacher who goes to work every day and stays late hours and works at night and puts their own money into school supplies and works through the summer and goes to teacher training and gets a master's degree and all the rest of it. And what kind of thanks do they get? What kind of thanks do they get? they get the thanks that say, well, why should you be paid so much because you get summers off and you finish your work at 3 o'clock, right? And so listen, we have to do better by our teachers. This is where our kids' future is. These are the people who literally our economy and our future depend on. So thanks to all the teachers in the room and the teachers who are at home today too. Maybe having a day off. So I was a teacher, and then I had my own small business. So I had my own business where I had to meet payroll, had to work out, little disagreements with my partner, had to make sure we kept the lights on. So I've done that. Got involved in local politics, in school politics a little bit, and then actually people asked me to run for the school board, and I said, oh no, you couldn't pay me enough to work for to be on the school board. They said, that's okay, it doesn't pay anything. So. But I just sort of stay involved as a parent. And then they asked me to run for the Tompkins County Legislature. And I ran. And I beat an incumbent. And I was the first Democrat and the first woman to represent my town, the town of Dryden in Tompkins County. And I've been on the county legislature since then. That was 12 and a half years. I was elected chair of our legislature 4 years in a row with bipartisan support, and proud of that. Proud that I appointed Republicans to chair a couple of committees because they were the best people to run those particular areas. And we have enough Democrats in Tompkins County on the legislature that we could get everything passed without even talking to the Republicans. But we don't do that. We spend lots of extra time, a lot of extra, real effort working to make sure every voice is heard, make sure that no matter which person is giving an idea out, if it's a good idea, we're all going to take time to consider it. And we pass most things unanimously, including our budgets. Last budget, this for the 2014 budget, unanimously passed by all parties. That's how we get things done in Tompkins County. I've been on our IDA. That can be a little bit controversial sometimes. We have a little bit of a different IDA. I was chair for 4 years. We actually clawed back the tax benefits that a business got when they left town. It was Emerson Power Transmission. They got a really nice deal because it was a really great new operation they were bringing to an existing facility. They were expanding their operations. 5 years later, they moved it to St. Louis. So we said, wait a minute. You don't get to just walk away. They paid back the mortgage recording tax and the sales tax and the property tax that they had received in abatements. They paid it back with interest. So we wrote a check to New York State. Here in New York, this is your part of the deal. And they said, what is this? They didn't know what to do with it. I don't think they've ever gotten a clawback payment before. That's the way that we run the IDA in Tompkins County. So we have the lowest unemployment rate in New York State. So when Tom Reed says, we don't want what's going on in Tompkins County, that liberal Tompkins County, I don't know, really? Do you really? Anybody else want that unemployment rate? We're at 4.4% right now.
We'll take it.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. And for the last 12 years, we've had, this is according to the comptroller, a job creation rate 3 times better than the state average. So this is, and we're all faced with the same kind of property tax, state mandate problems. We're all faced with the same general economy. This is a part of policies where local government is working together with business, working together with nonprofits to get things done in Tompkins County. So I'm proud of the record that we have, and I'm happy to talk about many, many more issues. We'll have some questions in a few minutes, so I'm happy to go into more depth on that. So I have a record. I'm proud of this record. I'm a mom. I'm a grandmother. So I have kind of a lot of arrows in the quiver. I've been a stay-at-home mom. I've been a working mom. There are a lot of things, a lot of parts of the sort of typical upstate New York experience that have been part of my life. So, is this winnable? Well, what do you guys think? Yeah. You guys, you saw. Yep. You guys were part of Nate Shinagawa coming within 4 points of beating an incumbent. Nate Shinagawa, who had a primary, we know that always takes time, energy, and money, leaves you with a less than united Democratic Party. They had a late start because the district lines were drawn so late, only drawn in March of the election year. So picture this election season, and we just last month found out about the lines. He was outspent 3-1. The Democratic Party didn't give him any support whatsoever. No, they didn't think he had a chance. So even so, he came within 4 points of winning. So Nate took a little while after the election to figure out, okay, what am I going to do here? Am I going to run again? A lot of family issues. His father lost his own job, and Nate's been really carrying the whole family pretty much. So he couldn't run, but he agreed to be my chair, my campaign chair, so that we started right off, right from the beginning. He introduced me to people. All of his knowledge and his relationships, we built on that infrastructure. So we started more than a year ago already. So we took care of that little late start process. There's no primary. We've been in the race, the only Democrat in the race since the beginning. And we'll probably be outspent. I'm prepared, but we're not going to be outspent 3-1. We've already raised $1.1 million since we started this race. We have, and as Norm said, we are not spending it. Tom Reed has raised quite a bit more, but he spent way more. He spent about 50% of his money. We spent about 20% of ours. So we're actually very close in terms of the resources we have right now and as we go forward. I'm especially proud of the fact that 91% of our donations have come from people giving less than $250. That's a lot of folks, and that's a lot of grassroots support. And that's the kind of outreach that we need across this entire district. I have to admit, I haven't been calling into Chautauqua County yet. I wanted to kind of give all of you a rest after the last fall's election. But we are going to be hoping that you help us and put everything into this race. If you can put your time in, your time is the most valuable thing you have. It's the way I feel. If you put your time in, I hope you'll back that up with your dollars, whatever you can do. That's how we're going to win the race. Because all those mailers that Reed is sending out, right now, they're important, no doubt. And I'm really delighted that Norm and the Dunkirk Observer are calling Tom Reed out for lies, because they're lies. But pretty much people are just kind of throwing those mailers away right now. So don't worry too much. When the time comes, we will be in your mailbox. We will be on the internet. We will be on the shopper. We'll be on local radio. We'll be on television, because we'll have the resources to help to do that. Since the beginning of this race, Emily's List has been with us. Everybody know what Emily's List is? You may not know that the name means early money is like yeast. It helps to raise the dough. Literally, and it's a group that they support women, pro-choice Democratic women candidates, and they have made all the difference in moving our representation federally and in the state houses from like almost no women to pitiful. It was 0, now it's only pitiful. I think there's 18% of the House of Representatives are women. That's really not right. So they've been with us right from the beginning. The Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee has also been right with us from the beginning. And last month they picked me out as one of the first group of what they call red to blue candidates. That's one of the first, the top 16 candidates they think are the most viable opportunities to change a seat from a Republican to a Democrat. So that's thanks to all sorts of things, the organization that we've had, the support we've had from around the district, as well as the fundraising results that we've had. So they're with us all the way. They're helping to pay for, they are paying for our field staff. So meet Jason Henry. If you haven't, if you haven't met him, you will be seeing a lot of Jason. And Colin Crowley is in our finance staff. So we're just now building out our staff. We have a couple of amazing volunteer coordinators who will work with your county chairs and city chairs, because we have an incredible cadre of volunteers doing really important work, organizing house parties, meet and greets, organizing, doing phone banking. I mean, obviously we did the petitions, but there are many, many jobs that people can do wherever you are. Letters to the editor, rapid response on the online, when there's an article on the Dunkirk Observer Online, go after it with, those online comments. We can help with bullet points about particular issues, and that's another thing that's really important for volunteers to help with. So why is it important to win this race? Well, I did mention, 18% of the House of Representatives being women. Really not really acceptable. And why does that matter? Well, that matters because women care about the pocketbook issues. Well, women pay most of the bills in this country. Women make the minimum wage. 67% of minimum wage workers are women. So when Tom Reed votes against the minimum wage being increased, he's voting against women. It's not teenagers. These are women, and most of them are raising kids. When Tom Reed votes against extending unemployment benefits because he thinks unemployment makes you lazy, he's voting against women. He's voting against men. He's voting against hardworking Americans who are desperately trying to keep a job, to keep their families going. But in a climate where he's also voted for every free trade agreement that's come through. He's voted for Korea and Panama and Colombia. And he is supporting fast track for the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Not me. It's got to stop here. We can do a lot of things at the local level. We can do a lot of things at the state level, like Startup New York, we were talking before, like our IDA. We can do a lot of things. But, we're swimming upstream, basically, if we can't change the trade policies in this country, where we ship jobs overseas and we reward corporations with tax policies that say, that's really a pretty good idea. If you can find somebody to do that job in Mexico or Vietnam or China, go for it. And we'll help you with a little bit of tax benefits here. So these are the kind of policies that need to be changed, and these are the things I'll fight for. When you look at the Ryan budget, now Tom Reed voted again for the Ryan budget just a couple weeks ago. What's in the Ryan budget? Well, probably a lot of you got that postcard that talked about Medicare Advantage. Am I right? How many of you got that postcard? You didn't come here? That's interesting. It did. You got, okay. Tom Reed is saying that the Democrats, the White House, have cut $700 billion out of Medicare. Well, it's out of Medicare Advantage, and Medicare Advantage, he's not telling you, was put in place during the Bush administration, subsidies to insurance companies so they could undercut regular Medicare. The goal, really, that they didn't tell you about was that they wanted to prove, so-called prove, that Medicare was more expensive than what the private insurance companies could do. Well, it only worked when they gave public dollars, your dollars, to the insurance companies to underbid and to provide a better benefit for less cost. They could only do that because regular Medicare was subsidizing Medicare Advantage. So what did we do with the Affordable Care Act? One of the provisions was to sweep that money take the subsidies away and put them towards closing the donut hole. Y'all know what the donut hole is. And you know that because of the Affordable Care Act right now, that donut hole is closing. And in a few years, that'll be covered altogether. Well, it's really interesting. The Reed-Ryan budget, I call it the Reed-Ryan budget, They, of course, the first thing they will do is repeal the Affordable Care Act. But do you know what they did? They recognized, they culled the savings. They took all the $700 billion that are saved out of Medicare Advantage, and they recognized that in the revenue column without any of the benefits of the Affordable Care Act. So they took the money and ran. This is what they're not telling you. It's a little bit complicated, and Tom Reed is hoping you won't take time to understand it, or rather, I think he doesn't respect you enough to think that you could understand it, and he's hoping to get away with that lie. So in this Reed-Ryan budget, they are changing Medicare permanently into a voucher system. They will have seniors pay more out of pocket. They call it premium support. It eliminates the Medicare guarantee. Period. End of story. They will charge college students who manage to get federal loans and scholarships, not scholarships, who manage to get loans. They're charging college students interest on those loans. You'd have to start paying your loan back while you're in college. While you're in college. They recognize $40 billion of revenue from the student loan program. You know what other number is $40 billion? The tax credits they give to the oil and gas industry. Isn't that an interesting pay for? You know, they say they only do tax benefits if they pay for them. They're having college students hand over money to the wealthiest corporations on the face of the earth. These are the wrong priorities. It's unacceptable. Let me talk briefly about infrastructure. There was a guy on from Rochester on YNN last week. Infrastructure public, I can't remember, Bill Carpenter, talking about the crumbling infrastructure and a poll that they did that showed this was one of the top issues that people care about. You know, roads, bridges, water systems, etc. And he said, well, Tom Reed has been very supportive. He really understands the needs for us to pay for infrastructure. Really? Really? Well, sitting in this guy's office, he nods and shakes, and is all really friendly. Just like when he comes to Lakeshore to the rally that Kathy Young organized, and he can shake his head and cheer us on and say, well, this is great. But then he goes to Washington, and all the policies he votes for cuts health care spending. So he's going to go sit in Bill Carpenter's office and sound all supportive about infrastructure, while the Reed-Ryan budget he just voted for cuts $52 billion from infrastructure spending just next year. Just next year. So my motto for Tom Reed is, for us watching Tom Reed, watch what he does, not what he says. They're light years apart. So I'm here to tell you, watch what I do, because it's the same as what I say. And I will be here fighting for working people, fighting for the middle class, fighting for jobs, for real economic development that stays here, jobs that can't be shipped overseas. And we need quality schools. We need teachers who are respected and compensated for the important work that they do. And we need to protect Medicare and Social Security. This is a promise. This is a promise. These are benefits seniors have earned. This is not a handout. This is your money coming back to you. And it is time to keep those promises to the American people. So will you join me in this fight? Are we ready to go? I can't thank you enough. We are going to need every one of you and all your friends and sisters and brothers and mothers and fathers and kids. We can do it. You know, we're swimming upstream, basically, if we can't change the trade policies in this country, where we ship jobs overseas and we reward corporations with tax policies that say, that's really a pretty good idea. You know, if you can find somebody to do that job in Mexico or Vietnam or China, yeah, go for it.